You're watching Talk Mania, and I'm your host, CJ. Welcome back to the second ranking of 2024, which will be Naglfar, one of my favorite bands in black metal. One of the bands that don't get a whole lot of attention when talking about black metal. You'll see more rankings on like Marduk, Mayhem, those. But really, I think I'm the second person on YouTube to rank Naglfar's discography, which it's kind of weird to think about, but yeah, one of the all-time best black metal bands. So, they have 7 albums, all of which are perfect in my opinion. I don't think they have anything bad in their whole discography. I think it's just hands down perfection all the way through. It might be a little bit controversial to say that, but even with Sheol, I think it is. Hopefully I said that right. Probably didn't, because, yeah, I butcher everything. I'm known for that, but yeah. Number 7, or my least favorite, one's got to be Unfortunately, and the one that is unfortunately at the bottom is Harvest from 2007. One, unfortunately, has to be last, and it is Harvest. It's a phenomenal album, as it sounds fantastic. It's all down to preference, and there is no other reason for this one being last, other than I like the other ones more. Harvest is pretty atmospheric, which does wonders for it. The guitars are hypnotizing like black metal guitars are and usually are. I know there's other bands that don't do that, especially in like war metal and other bands in the genre. The vocals are a classic style black metal vocal. Best song here is Way of the Rope. Probably would be in top 10 best songs that they've ever done. Number 6 is their newest album, which is Cercloth, I think it is called. Hopefully I said that right. Probably didn't, because, yeah, I butcher everything. I'm known for that on YouTube. But yeah. Having a completely different feel from their other records with a more atmospheric feel. The vocal performance on this album is one of their best ever. The guitars, yeah. The vocals on this album are probably one of their best vocal performances that they've ever had on an album. The vocals are just amazing. They stand out. They're in the front, basically. You could hear them pretty good. That and Therese, too. Both of those albums have fantastic vocals. The guitars are more of a hypnotic blast than their other albums, which is reminiscent of other black metal bands. It kind of stands out in their discography as being like not as Naglfar-esque, but yeah, really what lands this album here is preference. It's all preference for this band for me. It's either the albums that are lower or all due to preference, honestly. Best song here is Cry of the Seraphim. Love that song. Probably said that wrong too, but that's how it goes with me. But yeah. Absolutely, this album was great too. It ended up getting, it was on the 2020 end of the year list, I think, as well. Number 5 is the one that everybody kind of shits on all the time, which is Sheol from 2003. I actually like this album a lot. I know a lot of people don't and said this is where they started to fall off. I gotta fucking heavily disagree with that. Like, a lot of people shit on this album for no reason, and it's because it's more melodic than what they did previously, the two they did before. I've heard people say this album is lacking, and I'd have to very much disagree with this. It's a different feel from the previous 2 albums, having more of a melodic feel. It's Naglfar coming into what they are most known for, melodic black metal. The album also features prominent guitar solos that stand out, riffs that are extremely memorable, and a sound like no other album. Best song here is Unleash Hell. Unleash Hell is by far one of their best songs ever. And I go back to this album quite often. I go back to basically every single album that they've ever made often. Because, yeah, this band is just so damn good that I go back to this band a lot. And I should have ranked them before, but yeah. Sheol doesn't deserve the hate it gets. It's kind of ridiculous that people find this album to be like bland. Well, I've heard a lot of people describe it as bland. I'm like, what the fuck are you hearing? Number 4 is going to be Therese from 2012. Therese is a really is a really well put together album with a giant sound to it. The guitar tone and riffs are extremely potent while still keeping the atmosphere. The vocals are another strong point, as they are classic black metal vocals that is absolutely crisp as fuck on this album. Therese is one of Naglfar's most melodic records ever, even more than Shoal and Pariah. Pariah is still to come. You probably already know that. Truly shows that this band can crank some all-time classics out. I would consider this an all-time classic album for black metal, even coming out in 2012. Best of the 2010s black metal. My favorite song here from Therese is Extension of His Arm and Will. If you have never heard that song before, check that one out. It is definitely worth your time. Basically, these albums are worth your time, so yeah. Number 3 is going to be 1995's Vitra. Vitra is a strong debut from this fantastic band, having those 1990s second wave elements of black metal fans eat up. The guitars have that signature hypnotizing hum to them, with melody and even melody to them to spice things up. The vocals are some of the greatest in black metal, with those high-pitched shrieks being a huge highlight reminiscent of the Cradle of Filth band. You would know what I'm talking about if you heard this album. And the riffs being forefront black metal riffs. It is a premier black metal album that would be a good introduction to the genre, as it's not too raw, but still has that true to the craft production. Best song on the album is Enslaved the Astral Fortress. Absolutely a wonderful early black metal release. Vitra, 1995. Now here's a little bit of controversy to have this album this high on the list. Number 2 is going to be Pariah from 2005. I know this one might be a little bit controversial to put high on the list, but yeah, I love this album. If they went wrong on Shoal, they shot back in the game. This ripper of an album, having the bold sound of the first two and the melodic sound of Shoal. Pariah is the best of both. It's like that's what they took from the first album. They took first two albums they took from the third album, and they just put them all together for just one big, gigantic album that's just... Pariah contains some of their best songs, including the Murder Manifesto and The World Shall Be Your Grave and Spoken Words of Venom. But best song, however, is A Storm of Plagues. This is one of the albums I listened to first from them, and maybe this is why this is this high on the list, but usually albums I listen to first end up high on the list. Like, if I discover them through a record, I discovered them through their newest one, which is kind of low, but yeah, this is the one that I bought right after it, and quite enjoyed it, and it's an older record, so it might be that's why. And number 1 is gotta be Diabolic from 1998. Oh, this one is one of the greatest black metal albums of all time. No surprise, this one is my all-time favorite from Naglfar, as it's everything. The debut is better. I can move the notes that I take. I take notes on this stuff, so. The whole album is hard-hitting, from the guitars that pack a punch to the drums creating a chaotic album, and the vocals being classic black metal vocals. Each song is crafted perfectly with a large atmosphere and ear-pounding production. It's proper black metal at its finest. It basically did everything. It basically did everything the debut did, but 10 times better. This album is untouchable in the discography, as it's a classic in my honest opinion, and the band can never make another album that would top this album. This album is by far one of my favorite black metal albums of all time. It would be on top 10, maybe even top 5. Best song Naglfar has ever done was Embracing the Apocalypse, but some of these other songs in this album, 12th Rising, The Brimstone Gates, When Autumn Storms Come, just honestly one of the more premier black metal albums I've ever released. honestly, I fucking love the record. I love it. I love it from front to back. And it's my favorite for a reason because, well, yeah, it's just nonstop fucking brutal black metal. And it's cold, it's melodic in some parts, but it's basically just a big blast fest all the way through it. And yeah, it's black metal at its finest. So that's how I rank Naglfar. Hope everyone liked it. It's kind of a band that just came out of the blue. Like, oh, I want to rank this band because it's cold outside, and I'm in the mood for black metal, so I decided to go with that. And yeah, I'll see everyone whenever I upload again, which will be this week because new albums came out this week. So